She still looks nice. She's crazy. She still looks nice. Hello and welcome back to Aaron Paradise Reads Stuff Real Bad, because he's a douchebag when it comes to reading. English is not my first language, which it is, so I'm lying. So let's... Oh yeah, decision. I remember now. We need a break. The full story will probably be out tomorrow, so there's no sense in wearing ourselves out over it now. You're probably right, Lizzie. I was getting tired of that news graphic anyway. Okay. John turned off the television and returned to her, and she happily slid into his lap and laid against his chest. They spent the rest of the night just quietly talking, staying close while they worked. John's sadness seems to ease as he spent time with her, and she was glad to see it. Did I make a right choice for once? Though, part of her desperately wanted more information. She remained herself that what she had said was true. The incident wasn't about them. She would learn more in time. As she fell asleep, Lizzie tried to ponder what this would mean for them. All she was sure about was that she wanted to face it as at his side. Learn to read. I did. Didn't I get all the words correct? Don't pester me. Several days later, more information had come out, and everything was far less clear. Yay! Just what you wanted. The fact of the Warner's incident were overwhelmed by rumours, theories, and other chaos that muddled any potential message. Lizzie was absolutely certain in her interpretations, but obviously she was keeping that to herself. Didn't we learn anything about keeping stuff to ourselves? The girl's name was common knowledge now, and her face was represented by both a very normal-looking yearbook photo and her grin from the video. I think I'm gonna sneeze. No, maybe. I don't know. I didn't sneeze. That is most anticlimactic. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, the exact order of the offence when she had killed 12 of her classmates was still argued over, adding to the conspiracy theory. It was unclear why she had done it, and none of the evidence offered struck Lizzie as correct. She was actually a little curious what the girl's reasoning had been, but ultimately, it didn't matter. At the moment, Lizzie was writing up some of her thoughts in her notebook. The incident had set her imagination on fire, so she'd used the notebook more lately. Did I do a oopsie? But she'd let John see much of what she did, and they'd been able to talk about it, which amplified the soothing effect. Now, though, she was finished and feeling restless. Lizzie glanced at the clock and got up to pace a little. John was currently at the computer lab, another part-time job he'd taken to try to reduce their debt. God damn it, why debts? This one was also usually easy, he said. But tonight, allegedly, he was going to be playing games with some other people, including Aaron, which made her a little uncomfortable. She knew it was irritating, but she hadn't pushed too hard. But John knew she didn't like it. He promised that soon he'd start withdrawing a little more to spend time with her, but hadn't specified exactly when. Lizzie decided that it was time to go visit him, not just to check on him, but because she might as well see what everyone was interested in. Games didn't particularly interest her, and John hadn't played many because they were expensive. Were they? In 1992? But there was a group on campus setting up something called a LAN party in 1992. I was thinking of Doom. When did that come out? She made her way across campus at speed toward the lab. She was anxious, no point denying that, but it was a low-level anxiety she could swallow without doing any harm. A new area? Inside she found things a little different than expected. Each person at separate computers. Maybe she had been thinking of consoles, with everyone together on the same couch. This was reasonable and seemed like the kind of thing John would like. Though almost everyone was utterly fixated on the screens, John looked up and smiled when he saw her. She immediately moved to stand behind him, one hand on his shoulder. You haven't been looking at Aaron, have you? Hey, Aaron! The screen seemed to be from the point of view of someone running through corridors carrying a gun. There were other numbers, presumably their statistics related to the game. So, this is the game? Yeah, it's fun playing over LAN, but doubt I want to play too often. Oh! That's distracting. That's normal, right? I mean, there are a lot of more important causes in the world, but you can't be focused all the time or you'll just end up useless, you know? Lizzie could be focused all the time when Aaron is having trouble focusing because there's an Aaron showing off his stuff. Or at least she should be, but she nodded. It was true for John, at least, and one of the ways she needed to protect him. Sorry if I'm distracted. After the match, he cut off as someone else appeared from around a corner on his screen, abruptly moving his mouse and hitting keys much faster. Lizzie found herself briefly concerned for his avatar, but fortunately it was the other player who collapsed, the little human image sprouting blood. That's not very realistic. That prompted a strange eyebrow from Aaron. Well, it is a game. So the winner is the person who kills the most people. More or less. The timer is... Whoa! Oh, that's a nice picture. Once again, the game sucked up his attention, so Lizzie stopped distracting him and just stayed behind to watch. If she could play the game, would John like that? Lizzie watched his hands and the gameplay. Reaction time seemed to play a part, and she's good at that. But the actions necessary to move and fire seemed very artificial. She wasn't sure she'd be able to adjust to them. Of course, she actually really looks nice. Of course, she wouldn't want to play against John, even if his character was just a little soldier that didn't look like him. She also wasn't sure she wanted to play with this group. A few were staring at her with a look that made her set her teeth on edge. Only John got to look at her that way. She still looks nice. She's crazy. She still looks nice. Things went well until John's avatar came under heavy fire. Abruptly, the screen pulled back and she saw the little figure collapse in a shower of blood. John had been killed. He wrenched and muttered to himself. Raw hatred surged through Lizzie as she realized that one of the people in that room killed him. He popped back up a second later, but she barely noticed scanning the other chairs. Was there any way to tell which username connected the person who had killed him? But as things went on, John killed them back several times. He got killed again, and the surge of hatred faded. It was just a silly little avatar, after all. John was fine. If she could kill people in real life and do no harm, would she? The idea kind of excited her. Oh, God. But she decided not to explore it for now. Before too long, the match ended. If she read the screen right, John did well in the top third of players, considering he had less time for games than many other people. She was very proud of him, giving him a quick hug from behind. Really? He swiveled around in his chair to face her, smiling. You just came to watch, I take it. Do you want to play? Oh, I don't know about that. It doesn't seem quite like my sort of thing. Did you know there are serious people blaming the Warnos incident on violent video games? Shaking his head, Aaron shriveled to face them. It's not... They always blame the games, don't they? When would they take responsibility? It's not just a few crackpots either. Either. I hear a lot of people saying that this is because of the violence in our media, calling for all kinds of societal change, so long as they're superficial. I don't think you're going to overthrow the status quo with a revolution, Aaron. But obviously I agree, all the campaigning against violent games is misplaced. And violent movies. I don't know, man. I think we're past the point where incremental change can accomplish anything. You saw how the pharmaceutical just spun this innocent to give them even more power, but it was a Koei-tech town. Who knows how drugs might have made the situation worse. The two of them went back and forth, arguing mildly. It interested Lizzie a little, but was more abstract than she preferred. She drew up a chair and got involved to prevent some of the unpleasant people from coming closer and trying to talk to her. It seems they were taking a break in between matches, several people taking the time to go to the bathroom or get snacks. For the most part, it seems like a decent group, so Lizzie didn't mind John spending time with them. The break didn't last long, not nearly long enough for John and Aaron to resolve their disagreement. John glanced at her, but when Lizzie smiled encouragingly, he participated in the next match as well. Digital murder! Whoa! Oh, she looks so nice. As she watched, Lizzie got more of a natural sense of for the game, but that actually took her out of the experience. In the game, there was no way you could tell if someone was behind you, no sense of for the environment, or easy way to keep tabs on the scenario, and the blood effect really were sort of silly, not realistic at all. Yet, she felt a little intrigued. John had mentioned that computer graphics were always getting better. If there was a game that looked more realistic and let her use knives instead of guns, she wondered if it could be fun for her. Not the same as killing people, but... When they finished the next match, John got up to stretch, while Aaron glanced towards them again. "You're really watching intently. You sure you don't want to play, Lizzie?" "No, that's okay. I don't really like guns." "Haha, fair enough. This kind of crazy violence isn't for everyone." Finishing stretching, John glanced over at her for a moment, just considering that. Then he nodded. "I think I've had about enough for today. You want to head home, Lizzie?" "Okay." "You two take care, okay?" They left the lab and walked back together, taking their time. John seemed to be contemplating something, so Lizzie just kept pace alongside him and let him think until he was ready. Aaron is a good guy, but I don't think we're ever going to agree on some big things. Everything we were talking about with changing society, you mean? Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see the FDCA change and the entire industry will be transformed, but I kind of doubt it. History would have needed to go differently years ago. I agree with you, John. But maybe that's fine. He'll go his own way and organize protests and things. I'll see if I can't do more within the system. Maybe both approaches are necessary. They'll take us in completely different directions, though. Do you mean you aren't upset that I'm uncomfortable about Aaron? Are you? He looked at her, slight surprise in his eyes. No, not at all. I was trying to say the opposite. It looks like our choices in life will mean that we spend less time together regardless. Ah, I understand. I'm glad you're not upset. Just thoughtful. It's strange how choices you make at the beginning of life can take things in such a different direction. It's like, is there another version of me who follows Francesca's path and worked for the FDCA? Another one where I joined protest? One where I forgot all about it and just take some other job? Interesting. Yes, it's called Crimson, Grey, Dusk and Dawn, which is this. And I could do that, but I probably won't, because it's me. And it was interesting, but Lizzie didn't like the idea. She liked this John. The one with her. She liked herself and the singular relationship they had. John noticed her slight frown before she could think to hide it, but Lizzie decided that was fine. You seem troubled. I don't like thinking about other versions of myself. A Lizzie who never met you, or who someone didn't love you, or I don't want to think about those. You don't have to focus on the depressing possibilities. What about a version of you where we escaped Coatec entirely and just lived happily together? The idea did bring a bit of warmth in her, warmth to the heart. Come on, words, come on, work with me. Even if it was a fantasy. But a moment later, Lizzie realized the true potential of the concept. She could always stay with her, John, and make the best decisions, but she could imagine all the paths not taken and enjoyed them too. Just adding more faces to their relationships. What? Oh, we'll probably not look up that word. I like that, John. I really do. I'm glad. And I just wanted to say that even considering every possible future reality, I want to be with you in all of them. Aww, lame. Lizzie latched onto his arm happily and squeezed him just for a moment. Me too, John. All the alternate reality Lizzies want to be with you too. Well, now we're getting into strange science fiction. The two of them explored the topic as they headed back. Sometimes and sometimes just silly. Lizzie was happy to discuss it and brimming with happiness by the time they went to bed. There was so many other paths in life, but it would always be John and Lizzie and John, forever and ever and ever. And that's where I'm going to end this episode. I've been your main man, I'm Paradise. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, all that fancy stuff. Why is there creepy music as I bring to the outro?